Welcome to your Get That Nugget for GCSE English Literature. Today we're going to be focusing on giving you a framework for analysing quotations so that you can have a structure for your paragraphs when you come to answering the essay questions in your English Literature exam. Today we're going to be focusing on Animal Farm and specifically Napoleon. This session is to complement your lessons with your teachers and not in any way to replace them. So Napoleon as a character in Animal Farm is a character that changes throughout the course of the novel, not in a good way. He is there to represent Stalin and he is there to represent the sort of oppressive, violent side of communism. We're going to look at 3 different quotations and we're going to unpick them using AO1, AO2, AO3. So AO1 is about understanding the text, understanding the question, responding to the question. AO2 is about analysing what the writer does and why. And AO3 is about putting that within context. So this quotation is about a comparison between Napoleon and Snowball. It acknowledges that Snowball is a better public speaker, but Napoleon was better at canvassing support for himself between times. So AO1, Napoleon is aware of his weakness and works to combat it. AO2, canvassing support, implies the use of propaganda, implies the use of individual conversations, and whilst it's not explicitly said, it suggests that there is something sneaky and underhand about the way he's going about things. In terms of AO3, Stalin used propaganda and specifically smeared or undermined his opponents. So, understanding of the text, understanding of the question, analysis of specific areas, looking at, not just the surface meaning, but the implied meaning. And then here how that relates contextually. Here, I pronounce the death sentence upon Snowball. AO1 shows that he is vicious and violent. However, it also shows the power that he has. The fact that he is able to say, I pronounce the death sentence upon Snowball, shows that he is now the de facto leader. So AO2, personal pronoun. I shows that he's the leader. Death sentence shows that he is without remorse or mercy. Contextually, we're going to look at this 2 ways. One, the fact that Stalin did rule through fear, but also the fact that this goes against the 7 commandments and yet no animal questions him. Showing his absolute power. Okay. And the last one we're going to look at is right at the end of the novel. The farmers make a toast with the pigs to Animal Farm. However, Napoleon corrects them and says to the prosperity of Manor Farm. So, AO1. The revolution has gone full circle. Napoleon no longer represents animalism, but rather totalitarianism. Essentially, that just means that he is the solo leader, he is the only one in charge, and he doesn't recognise any laws or rules. He is a dictator. To the prosperity of Manor Farm, so again, the focus being on wealth. Which is where the revolution started with the Tsar. It is not about health, it is not about happiness, it is not about equality. The focus is all about prosperity, which means there is a focus on wealth, which means there is a focus on superiority. AO3, communism ultimately failed. Due to leadership becoming worse than the Tsar. So people who had fought against an oppressive leader who only wanted them for what they could give him, who didn't care about his people, is replaced in an attempt to create a more pleasant, safer, happier, more codependent community, and ultimately that all fails when at the end it returns to exactly the point that it started at. So we're going to look at how Orwell presents Napoleon. We're going to put that into a paragraph. So by the end of the novel, Orwell shows Napoleon to be worse than Jones. When Napoleon reverses the revolution. Throughout the novel, the farm is called Animal Farm to reflect the animals running of it. However, in chapter 10, Napoleon toasts the prosperity of Manor Farm. The word prosperity shows that the focus is on the wealth, not the animals, whilst the return to the name, manner, farm shows that animalism has failed. This reflects the ultimate failure of communism in Russia to create a better life for all. So we have AO1 here, our response. We have AO2 here, when we're starting to analyse what's being said. And then we have AO3 at the end, where we relate it to what was happening at the time. I'm going to leave you with a question to answer. You can use 3 quotations that we've looked at, or you can use your own. But ultimately that question is, how does Orwell present Napoleon? If you write that 3 paragraphs and then hand it to your teacher, I'm sure they'll be happy to mark it for you.